Susie, when you left, were you hoping that Clayton would come back and you were still in Iceland? Like, what was your thought process after you thought you were gone from the show?
Yeah, I kind of was expecting Clayton to come by the next day, not to bring me back in or you know, rejoin the process. But I was like, dang, like that just ended so poorly. Is he going to come by and just end this on a better note? And I wasn't in Iceland, like waiting around for him. It wasn't like I was there just waiting. You have to be there. So, but I was just kind of shocked that that's how it was really gonna end for me. And I was like, I was kind of shocked. So when I did hear a knock on my door, I didn't think it was going to be Jesse. I thought it was going to be Clayton for closure or one last conversation. Yeah.
And so it felt like as a viewer that you guys didn't really get to hash out everything that had started in that fantasy suite conversation. So When it came to the end and Clayton was, had the ring in his pocket and you were like, this can't work. It made sense because it still felt like you guys had so much to figure out since the show has ended. How has that been for you guys? And the issues that you proposed there, Susie, with, being intimate with the other women and perhaps that is a deal breaker. How have you guys resolved that?
We've had a lot of conversations. We really peeled back all the layers and we've asked every question. There's been no topic off limits. And I did struggle with the concept of him saying in that moment, right now, I love you the most. And for me, I was like, well, if you love me the most, then why would you jeopardize this? That was my thought process. But at the same time, we were living in kind of different realities and they both were valid. I have to and to that point, I have to kind of defend Clayton because it's not unnormal for the Bachelor to become intimate with multiple women. And I knew that, but I also knew where I stood on that. And I was like, I don't want to tell him how to do this, but if it's me and if he knows it's me, then this is how I feel. But the truth is Clayton and I feel like I've been going to say this 1,000 times, but I'm we compared journals at the end of it. And Clayton really did go into that week thinking he kept the door open. He was with each person. And when he was with that person, he was taking the time to explore that relationship with meaningful intentions. And it was never malicious. I say it because I'm I read the journal. The truth is he hadn't made his mind up and he said, I keep thinking about Susie. But I still have these feelings for Rachel and Gabby and I can see a future with them. And as the person that is now with him, when we went through that was hard to read and hard to see. But I think that's a testament to his character and the fact that he was not just, he wasn't being reckless. He was going through the process the way he thought it was best. And it's really no different than any other, not any other, but many other bachelors previously. And that night I understood. I was I see your perspective. I understand it, but this is just so complex for me to understand that I had to take a step away. And since then, we have gotten to the bottom of all those conversations and even having, it sounds silly, but having that proof and us keeping journals, both of us was the best thing we could have done because we were able to really go back to those moments and just discuss everything fully.
Yeah, and I think that every person can relate to being in a position where they say they can't forgive something or they can never get past something. And then you actually reflect on it, you think on it, think from the other person's point of view, and then can come around on it. So I think it's really great that you guys could work through those issues. And obviously you see what everyone's saying during the show and everyone's fired up and everyone's laying into you, including us. But then you see you guys and you just hope that you guys are happy and can have a happy future together. Last night, they talked about the engagement. And Susie, you mentioned that if anyone was going to propose right now, it would be you. What did you mean by that? Because we started talking about it and I was like, well, is that implying that Clayton is not ready to get engaged? Because we just watched this whole show about him going to get engaged to somebody. So what was the meaning behind that comment?
I laughed too. I was like, wait, where are we going with this one?
Yeah, you're do you have a ring? No, well, Clayton and I talked about the engagement and we've discussed it. We're like, there's no reason for us to get engaged. If we were to get engaged right now, it wouldn't be for us. And so we had that discussion. I'm like, if you surprise me with the ring, I was like that, like, I will say no, but we've made the joke of like, yeah. And I've made the joke, like, I asked Clayton to be my boyfriend. Like, he didn't ask me to be his girlfriend. And so like, we've kind of made that joke. So when Jesse was like, are we going to expect an engagement and throw it to Clayton? I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like, no, that's not happening. But yeah, we were just kind of goofing off about that because we've joked about it before.
How did you, so it was you who reached out, right, Susie? So how did that go down and how did you guys reconnect? Because I think that is kind of a missing piece here that we didn't really get into last night.
I just slid right into the DMs.
Yeah.
And I was just reaching out to connect. And at that point I didn't know, my intentions weren't to restart a relationship, but we totally cared about each other. We left Iceland feeling this mutual respect. We had this moment, like we always talk about it before I left, where we just like were hugging. And I was like, we just respect each other so much. And no matter what, I think we knew that we would be a part of each other's lives, and we didn't know at what capacity. So I just reached out to him to see how he was doing. And I said, if you're open to it, I would love to have one more candid conversation. And that conversation lasted like 5 hours. And we just kept talking, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to it, but that was the gist of it for me.
Final question, because of course we have to wrap up. Sorry, Clayton, I'm cutting you off here for a second, but I just want to ask if you guys have watched these last couple episodes together, and Susie, what your relationship is like with Rachel and Gabby, and how you felt kind of watching this unfold.
It was tough to watch back, and it was tough for both of us. We both felt like worry and concern for both of the women, and we didn't shy away from those topics with each other. We both felt it just was awful to watch, knowing how heartbroken they were. All three of us were super close at the end. You can't not be close unless one of us is a bad egg, and none of us were a bad egg. Yeah. So we all were really close at the end there. Gabby, I would say Gabby is like my best friend from the show. We made it all the way to that point together. I was like writing her notes and like asking people to slip them to her at the end. And we both think so much of both of them that it was really hard to watch. But, I've had the closure with that chapter, like knowing where his heart was and knowing that his intentions were never to hurt them, but that it happened. So it was just tough, but we've gotten through it.